What's going on, everyone, from LowKick MMA? My name is Dane Podolsky, and I'm joined with the UFC veteran, shameless Don Shainis. He is set to fight for the CES featherweight title of the world on October 20th against Regivaldo Carvalho. Don, thank you so much for taking the time, and how are you doing today?
Dude, I'm doing good. I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing all right. And, just starting off, how did this fight come together, and how's training been going?
Fight came together because I wanted that CES belt. I got the FAC 55 belt. I got the Cage Titans 45 belt. And I wanted to add another belt to the collection. Time wise, we were looking at October. Just between fights, I wanted to work on a few things, focus on getting like a legitimate camp in. My last camp was kind of rushed a little bit. And I wanted to, like I said, focus on a few things. I was looking at October. CS was the only card in October, and time to grab some more hardware, put on my wall right there.
And it worked. I hope it works out for you in that, you're obviously from Massachusetts. CS is one of the biggest sort of regional New England promotions. How important is that to you? The fight is in Connecticut, but how important is that to you to try to pick up that CES belt, from the region that you're from?
I want all the fucking belts, man. I don't give a fuck what region we're from. I want all the belts, some either back in the UFC or fighting for the PFL.
Fair enough. And
Or
then
one FC. We'll throw one FC in the mix, but yeah.
Bellator.
I think Bellator is kind of going under. No, I'm down for Bellator if they're staying alive. I think they're getting picked up by PFL.
Yeah, last I heard they're
There's a lot
probably
of rumors
selling.
floating around.
Yeah, a lot of rumors. Last I heard they're probably selling, but it's unconfirmed. But looking at this fight, it's another championship fight for you. You picked up
Mhm.
belts in Cage Titans, FAC. Having the 5 round experience, how much of an advantage do you think that gives you in this fight?
I don't think it matters. Um, at the end of the day, cardio is cardio. You're either in shape or you're not. Now, that being said, going the distance, I know I could do it, but I like to me, it's still a fight. Like you're gonna use as much energy as much as you can till the fight's over. So I don't think cardio is going to be a factor, but I know I could do those deep waters. It's up to my opponent to see if he can do.
Yeah, and it makes sense. Both your 5 round title fights, you not the guy on the first round, so it hasn't necessarily you haven't needed to go the 5 distance, but you have the
Well, I
cardio
have.
to get
I
there.
have. When I fought Nate Williams for the Cage Titans 145 title, he missed weight. So we fought a full fucking 25 minutes, but he didn't win the title because he ended up winning, but he missed weight by fucking a weight class, so it don't matter.
Oh, got it. And then so for your fight, have you gone to watch the previous footage on Carvalho? And if so,
Yeah.
what stands out to you? What gives you the advantage over him?
He hits hard. He's tall. He's long. Orthodox fighter. He's got a slick guillotine, but other than that, I think he's an AB fighter. He's got a slick 1-2 down the pipe. As long as I could watch out for that and the high kicks should be. I don't like, dude. It's never a fucking walk in the park, but I fought this type of fighter before.
Looking at your UFC run, you take a short notice fight against the number 11 fighter in the world, Sadiq Youssef, doesn't go your way, and then a tough fight with Jack Jenkins where you have to go into Australia and the UFC releases you. Do you feel like you weren't given a fair enough of a shot by the promotion?
Look, life ain't fair, dude. Like, if I can't sit here and bitch about my circumstances and what happened, there was a million factors that went into both of those fights that didn't go for me. You know, um, I'm not gonna sit around and bitch about it. I'm just gonna fuck it, move forward, and get this win and get back there.
Something I admire is that shortly after you were released, a lot of guys will take time off or even consider if they want to keep fighting. You immediately got back in there and won the Cage Titans championship. Like how important was that for you to say, you know what? I'm gonna use this as motivation and get back to the UFC and keep fighting on the regional scene until I'm there.
Oh man, you're hitting a touchy subject right now. So, like, to be completely honest with you, I wanted to take a little bit more time to go out and compete. And my coach was like, "Hey, look, we got to get right back on that fucking horse." And I thought it was a little bit rushed. Um, I think I needed a little bit more time to process my emotions and my feelings because it wasn't just getting cut from the UFC. I was dealing with some financial stuff. I was dealing with some other life shit too, and it all came crashing down all at once. And I wanted to take a little bit more time. So that fight wasn't my 100%, but right now I'm in a really good space mentally, physically, spiritually, and I'm excited to go out and perform.
It's interesting hearing for me to hear you say it because this will be your eighth fight in the last, since the start of 2022. I mean, there's very few fighters who can say they've been that active, if you including a run in the UFC, to have 8 fights in the span of 2 years. Like, how important is it for you to just stay active and keep pushing?
Dude, like I ain't gonna make no money fucking fighting if I'm not active, right? Like you can only make money if you're fighting. And right now I'm not making enough money to fucking sit back and chill. And these guys are sitting back and chilling. They're not evolving, man. Like the more cage time, the more experience, the better I get. So it's like I'm not one to fucking not be active. I want to be active. I want to make some money, and I don't need a ton of money. I just want to make enough to eat, without having to struggle to pay my bills. And the way I've always done that is by fucking competing.
Are you able to train full time, or do you work outside of being a fighter?
I do not have another job right now. This is my full-time job.
Got
I,
it. Got
I
it.
am very fortunate with some sponsors that have been with me from day one. And some of them fell off and some of them it's like, hey, right now is not really a good time. But like for the most part, all my sponsors, they're fucking unbelievable. I built such a good relationship with them all where it's like it might not be a good time right now, but like in the future, like let's talk. So it's one of those things where I've built such a strong relationship with these people that, it's all love coming in. So even when I do have these injuries and this downtime in between fights, I'm able to still be able to eat.
Is your goal ultimately to get back to the UFC?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't get my hand raised in the UFC, and that's always been one of my goals.
And then, looking at like if you win this fight, that'll be back-to-back title fights. It feels tough to deny you not being able to get back to the
Well,
UFC if you win this fight.
my last fight wasn't a title fight. That was at a catch weight. I didn't want to fight for 25 minutes. I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't in the right headspace. My last fight wasn't a title fight. I just want to clarify that.
Got it.
But the fight before the UFC was a title fight. The fight before that was a title fight. So it was like title fight, UFC, non-title fight, title fight.
Got it. And then, so you're a product of New England, obviously, fighting in CS. Like, how do you feel about the current state of MMA there in New England?
Um, Honestly, I'm not the biggest fan. I'm not the biggest fan. Like, dude, I love home, but I've trained all over the world now, and I found some other places that what I've tend to find is, I love New England, and there's talent in New England, but mainly what I've noticed is there's a lot of full-time workers and part-time fighters. I'm a full-time fighter, so a lot of times while I'm home, I struggle to get the training I need because, I'm waiting for people to get out of work, to train at night, and that's not ideal for me. So what I did for this camp was I went out to Vegas. I trained at Syndicate, where you got guys training fucking in the morning and at night. That's their full time job. So that's kind of how I supplemented this training camp.
Who've been your go-to training partners for this camp?
Vince Morales has been huge. I worked a lot with Cody Steele while he was in town. He fought recently, had a highlight reel knockout. It was pretty badass. I got tons of rounds with Marab and a few rounds with Patchy Mix. So I would say my round robin rounds were Vince and Marab. Those are great rounds.
Were you able to keep up with Marav, especially in the cardio end?
He's a motherfucker, dude. And yeah, he's a fucking motherfucker. But yes,
And I guess I'll ask if we're talking about Marab, do you think he's next to fight Sean O'Malley, and do you think he wins that fight?
who knows? Who knows what's next for him? I know he wants it. And and here's the thing when it comes to like who's champion. Like Marab could very well be the next fucking 135 champion of the world. It's literally who shows up that night. Like the one thing I learned about fighting is anything can fucking happen. And like there's certain fights that I look at and watch happen where anything can fucking happen. Like dude, my teammate this weekend, fucking, I used to train with Grant Dawson, and like, not that I thought this fight was gonna be a walk in the park for him, but I thought it was clear as day, like he was gonna just take him down and wrestle fuck him, and he got clipped. So you never know what the fuck's gonna happen in there, and I think Sean O'Malley's such a big name. And when you fight O'Malley, it's not so much you're fighting Sean, you're fighting Sugar. And there's a big difference between the persona and Sean. Is Marab the guy to beat him? That very well could be. And I kind of hope he does. I like Sugar a lot, but dude, Marab's such a motherfucker, man. Being able to get rounds in with him is like, I want to see him succeed. I want to see him win. But yeah, to say that, I have no fucking idea. To even say, he might be next in line, he might not be. You don't know what the UFC is going to do. It's a lot about it. It is comes down to dollar signs. So we'll see.
So going back to talking about Marab, Sean O'Malley just knocked out Aljamain Sterling in Boston.
Mhm.
Where you're from and where I'm from, and were you hoping to get on that card at the Garden? And if you get back to the UFC, is that goal of yours to fight at the Garden? They're probably going to go back to Boston at some point in 2024.
Yeah, I was actually extremely disappointed and thought that was a huge missed opportunity, not only for me but for the promotion. Charles Rose and I actually spoke. He DM'd me on Instagram, and he was like, "Dude, we should fight on that Boston card." I'm like, "Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we should." What would be bigger than that? Like, as far as two guys from Boston fighting, like headlining the prelims in Boston. Now, since then, like before then, that was before I got released, and then since then he's been released. So I don't think that's gonna happen. But he's fighting on this card, so you never fucking know.
Yeah, I was about to say, and he's main eventing the CES card you're on.
Yeah, that confuses me, but I don't care.
I thought, I was at that card. I'm from Boston, so I'm biased, but I thought there should have been more. I don't think there was any New England guys on that card. I thought you should be on that card. I thought Charles Rosa should have been on that card. I know Calvin Cater's recovering from injury.
Yeah,
Rob Font was booked at one point, but then he ended up getting moved up to a main event. But it was
he ended up fighting Sandhagen like 2 or 3 weeks earlier.
yeah, but it was certainly disappointing. I thought not having any of the Boston guys, especially someone like yourself, where if you were 0-4 in the UFC, okay, I get it. They're not going to give you another fight, but 0-2 in the UFC, I feel it really did feel like a missed opportunity. And I think now that you mention it, that matchup with Charles Rosa, you guys were both in similar
That
spots.
would have been sick, right?
You had a great fight. I was in attendance for that. I would have loved to see that fight in person.
Bro, like that would have been sick. It would have been all his friends. It would have been all my friends. The place would have been packed fucking early. It would have been a good time. But it is what it is. I'm not bitching about it. You got to think too, like they're a business, and at the end of the day, they were going to sell out regardless. And I think they broke records with a $7.2 million gate. So what the fuck did they really care?
Now, fair enough. But again, whenever the UFC goes back, if you're coming off a win, we gotta get Don Shainis on this card.
Yeah, dude. Well, I got to win this fight, and then maybe I get back in. And if I don't get back in, maybe I win another fight, win another belt, another promotion. And dude, I'm just gonna keep racking up the W's.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, Don, I'm wishing you the best luck in this fight. And just my final question, October 20th, you're fighting for the CES featherweight title of the world. Don Shainis, Regivaldo Carvalho. Don, give me your official prediction.
Round two TKO, ground and pound.
Fair enough. Don, I'm wishing you the best of luck. If there are any sponsors or shouts you want to give, go right ahead, my friend.
No, I want to thank you for having me on. I got so many sponsors right now. I wasn't prepared to fucking list them off the top of my head, but I just want to thank everyone in attendance. I'm fucking gonna be selling merch, so if you're there, you're gonna be there. I hope. Be sure to grab some merch and fucking scream your ass off, man.
And where can people follow you?
Shameless fucking Dawn, everything.
Got
Not
it.
shameless fucking Dawn. Shameless Dawn, everything. I got excited when I said it. It was just
Shameless
shameless Dawn.
Shameless Don on all socials.
Yeah.
Go give him a follow. Anyways, Don, thank you so much for coming on. Guys, Don Shainis is set to fight for the CES featherweight title of the world on October 20th against Regivaldo Carvalho. You won't want to miss it. Get your tickets. Don, thank you so much for taking the time and best of luck to you.
No problem. Thank you.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKick MMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.